Hello, fellow parents and educators. Thank you for joining me at Education Evolution, where we are disrupting the status quo in today's learning models. We talk about present-day education, what's broken, who's fixing it, and how. I'm Dr. Maureen O'Shaughnessy, your host and founder of Education Evolution and the Microschool Coalition, where we are fiercely committed to changing the narrative, to reimagining the education landscape and creating learning that serves all children and prepares them to thrive. If you are new, welcome to the podcast. Please subscribe on our website to get it delivered to your inbox weekly. If you've been around a while, have you left a review? Hello, Education Evolution listeners. Today I'm pondering our post-pandemic schools. Are you a group of educators or a pandemic pod of parents? Or maybe you just don't want to go back to a large, impersonal, test-driven school? What else could there be and what could we learn from this time? I know not everybody is going to want to start from scratch and create their own temporary pod, or in my case, long-term microschool. It is hard. Starting any business is. I've included an article in the show notes on one pandemic pod's misadventures and closure. And I've also created a mastermind and meet with small school leaders on a weekly basis so that we can support each other, problem solve together, and continue our professional development. This is definitely not something that people want to go alone. I'm just curious, both with the pandemic and our country becoming aware of so much racial and institutional inequity, what are we going to learn from 2020 and this experience? What new awarenesses might emerge? How might learning improve? Can we use what we're learning from this closer look at our institution of K-12 education? Maybe let it help us recreate existing structures? Perhaps schools within schools, which I call SWASs. But before we talk how we might make a change, let's look at this moment in history. A recent eSchool news article asks, is this the moment in history when K-12 school systems get disruptive? Whoa, big question, because they've been pretty much the same for 100 years. Yes, conventional classrooms are being forced online, and we do have increased challenges engaging students, and this has prompted a lot of families and educators to look for alternatives. The article asks if these shifts beg the question, are we witnessing the beginning of K-12 disruption? It was fun for me to keep reading and to learn a new systems thinking concept, disruptive innovation. This concept from the Christensen Institute, where this article originally appeared as a blog by Thomas Arnett, explains. Disruptive innovation describes a phenomenon whereby the incumbent technologies and business models in a sector get displaced by new technologies from new entrants in the sector. Phew. So basically, this happens when a new idea arises to serve a need, and maybe initially it seems less appealing, but it grows to become the more desired solution. Like how Netflix disrupted Blockbuster by initially mailing people DVDs. I know our family hopped on Netflix instead of cable early days and still enjoy it today. One of my girls found a Blockbuster gift card last summer while sorting through her middle school mementos. We laughed and noted how much this aspect of entertainment has evolved. So this business phenomenon is the result of the conditions of the time, and it's not necessarily good or bad. The article illustrates this complexity by recognizing new creations such as social media, where we can connect people, but it can also be divisive and have a negative influence on mental health. So not good or bad, but something new that is disruptive. I like where Arnett ends. He believes our K-12 systems won't be disrupted, but what happens inside the schools may shift based on the pandemic. And that's the perfect segue for my hope that we regroup. Just like many office spaces went from separate offices to more open space, and many homes did the same with more shared space, schools can easily rethink how they use space to create more community. The pandemic has helped us see that students learn in many different ways. We know we need to move past the days of assembly line learning, especially with so many kids who have fallen off this assembly line during the pandemic. We can't have any more passive learning where every ninth grade student is in a sit and get mode for identical content to be dispensed. And we can't keep shackling our teachers to the priority of getting through content rather than getting to each learner as an individual. So SWASs, schools grouped within schools, are pockets of personalized thematic learning within your larger school. They don't take a separate building or system. The Kirkland campus of our Lead Prep Microschool is in the Lake Washington School District. This is an excellent school district. I serve on their community truancy board and really enjoy the connection with some of their fine counselors. They call their non-traditional schools choice schools. Families apply and are chosen by lottery. There are always long waiting lists to get into these thematic and typically smaller and personalized schools. Some have their own building and some share space with a more traditional setting. They also have a few alternative school options in shared space. It would be a dream come true to use these hard lessons from the pandemic about the huge mental health needs and diversity of learners to disrupt the status quo within the classroom. Again, I hearken back to the big picture learning model where students follow their passions and purpose and work with mentors in the community. Listen in to Lauren Demarotis in episode 30 to learn more about these places of belonging and learning driven by students' self-knowledge and interests. Montessori learning provides the same idea of teachers as guides instead of experts on a few specific topics. And we all know that we need intentional time for social emotional learning and to tend to mental health and self-care. Next month, Kristen Miller will join us and share the astounding middle school math results she got when she made social emotional learning the focus on Wellness Wednesdays. Research supports us changing what happens in the classroom in many ways. Then, what if we looked at the structure within the school differently? There are many benefits in multi-age classrooms or having the teacher loop and move up at the end of the year and stay with a group of students. Some schools, including Big Picture Learning, have the same advisor and advisory group for a group of students for the 3 years of middle school or 4 years of high school. Community, relationships, being seen, heard, and valued. We can eliminate the feeling of being anonymous or uncared for in our larger schools. Restructuring and reprioritizing what happens during the school day can make that difference. It's usually easier to create change together. Phillips Middle School in North Carolina made their shift to human-centered with a great deal of parent, teacher, student, district, and community conversation. It began as a pilot within their school and then grew to the whole middle school and now includes North Edgecombe High School. Jenny and Donnell, the school leaders, share the hard work and magical results in episode 39. Be sure to listen in. In my book on creating microschools, I outline the 7 steps I took to start Lead Prep. Steps for a SWAS are similar. Let me just address the first one. The why. What is your mission? Why not have students keep memorizing material in a fairly lockstep liberal arts sequence? So start with the mission. Listen to these 5 aims my friends in Edgecombe County created as a whole community. Their graduate aims say, by the time our graduates are 25, these graduates will say these 5 things. 1, I know my purpose and what I'm passionate about, and I'm living this out. 2, I possess global awareness and agency. 3, I engage productively in my community. 4, I can return to or stay in Edgecombe County. 5, I am resilient in the face of new challenges. Whew, these graduate aims give me shivers. So rather than ramble through logistics of creating a school within a school, let's just stay with dreaming, deep dreaming on how we want our school experience to show up in the world. I want to unpack Edgecombe's aims because, to me, these are the reasons we want to push disruptive innovation in the schools. Push hard with both hands. I love the overarching question. How do we want our students to navigate life at age 25? First is purpose and passion. Think of all of the listless young adults who lack clarity right now. Knowing and living my passion, that is so different from young adults taking a job they hate to pay off a crazy student loan debt. The former creates a much happier society, and I can only imagine it is more productive with more people working in fields they love. Wouldn't it be great to let our K-12 teachers foster this purpose and passion? Second aim, global awareness and the agency or empowerment to make change. This can't be instilled in schools if we don't give it regular time and empower students to find and serve global causes. This needs class time, not just a Thursday afternoon service club time slot. In interdisciplinary studies, we can get to these important topics and then weave in some standards and content. Next week, we'll hear from 2 of our lead prep humanities teachers, Casey and Jacob, on their full day interdisciplinary themes. Third, I love this aim. I think communities love this aim. I engage productively in my community. Yes, who wouldn't want youth's energy and vitality and new ideas enhancing their community? In non-pandemic times, this is a regular Friday occurrence at Lead Prep and in a week of spring environmental service. Being place-based and connected to our community is an important win-win. Fourth aim, students can stay or return to their rural community. This is a locale-specific aim, one I know is shared by my mom's rural community in Southeast Washington. What locale-specific aim might help your school? Maybe something with the environment or something that ties big business back into helping all in the community. I bet you have some ideas. Fifth aim, I am resilient in the face of new challenges. Whew, boy, this is a biggie. Our crazy world and uncertain times make this resiliency more important than ever. Schools can teach and practice the tools in experiential and engaged learning that help kids gain this resiliency, learning from mistakes, getting do-overs, practicing empathy for self and others. Wow, these 5 aims are inspirational, and I would love for every graduate in Edgecombe County at age 25 to be saying this, and for all of our young adults at age 25 to have this same journey and these same aims. So might there be a silver lining of this time of painful awareness of institutional racism and injustices, a divided country, and a global pandemic? Might schools have been disrupted enough for the problems to be seen and no longer brushed aside with business as usual? I would love for us to let disruptive innovation and the knowledge that schools can pivot when they have to lead us to purpose-driven, human-centered communities of learners. Education evolutionists, let's make this happen. I I know how challenging it is to make changes inside your own school or community. I've spent years working with schools around the world on creating learner-centered programs, and it always struck me how much schools were able to get done with the right tools and guidance. If you're ready to make changes like this in your own school, let's talk and put together an action plan. Visit educationevolution.org/consult for a free 15-minute call, and let's see if we're a good fit for more work together. Education Evolution listeners, you are the ones to ensure we create classrooms where each student is seen, heard, valued, and thriving. We need you. Let's go out and reach every student today. I'd be so grateful if you'd head over to your podcast app to give a great rating and review if you found this episode valuable. Don't wait. Please do it right now before you forget. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Signing off, I am Maureen O'Shaughnessy, your partner in boldly reimagining education.